All right, welcome to Equal Time Soccer. I'm Matt Pravratsky alongside Mark Pravratsky. We are trying out a new format for you this fall. We have so much D1 college to cover, so much D2. We have multiple Minnesotans in the pros. So we are going to switch things up and try and mash all of those beats into one show with Mark and I hosting along the way and some guests popping in as it makes sense. So we are going to start with some pros. And Mark, we got the USL Super League starting this fall, and it's a blast to have pros playing domestically again from Minnesota.
Yeah. For people wondering if we know what podcasts and social media and YouTube works like, we realized doing a weekly consistent show is the best way. And it's only 2024. We figured it out. We got you guys. Honestly, it should work out better for all of us to be more efficient. But yeah, really fun this last weekend to see people kick off in the Super League. It was the first week of the year for that league to play at all. They were on Peacock, which made it easy for us at the bar to watch it. It was cool to see a couple of Minnesota connected players play in the first weekend, Matt. Mm-hmm. Talk about seeing, specifically, we saw Katie Duong start for DC. Very cool thing. So, talk about seeing those players in Super League this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited for the league. I mean, having more pro opportunities for Americans is one thing, specifically for Minnesotans for our bias, but having it domestically, having it on Peacock, all these things are so great. We've heard from players they're making, solid wages compared to what players have made in the past. So just so many things to be excited about. And, at the very top of that list for the opening weekend, Katie Duong, former Gopher player, starred for Minnesota Aurora in the W League this summer. Former youth national team star, had some time at Stanford. She starts and goes 90 minutes for DC Power FC in their first match at Carolina Ascent in front of 10,000 fans. It was a really cool, the American Legion Stadium over there in Charlotte. Just a really cool setup. You could expect excitement for the opening week. Not surprising, 3 sellouts on that first day, or on that first weekend, but still, it's still absolutely rad. Yeah. I think it also says a lot that Katie earned that starting spot. She was one of the later signings for DC. Yeah. Came in. They played kind of like a 4-2-3-1, or at least there were 2 sort of holding mids. When I've sort of hyped up Katie before, I've described her as this like pure 10 and like put her in the final third, shoot from distance, all of this crap that I babble on about. She really, when we had her on for a show, described herself as more of an 8 because she tracks back so much. She's such a connector and cares about positioning, all that stuff. And so it wasn't shocking to see her play in that spot just because of she really can also settle down a team. And so for a brand new team with a brand new system, it makes sense to have such a solid player there to just keep things steady. I'll say I was actually really impressed with the quality of play from the games overall. I mean, it's a brand new league. These teams have been training for like weeks. And so I don't think
coaches have been hired. The pieces have been put together recent for some of these squads.
Yeah. And so I don't think the expectation should be that it's like World Cup quality soccer week 1. This is a brand new league, brand new teams. But I actually thought it was pretty solid. I mean, some of the goals were a little bit scrappy, but goals are scrappy in the pros. Goals are scrappy in the Olympics. You can have scrappy goals. So fun to have that first week. And while we're talking Super League, Jenny Vetter, another Minnesotan who you had on when she signed with Spokane out in the Northwest, she also should be in position to get some minutes this season. The team even officially announced that she was out with a leg injury, From what I've heard from Jenny, I don't think it's super, super major. And to be honest, this early in a season, I think it makes sense to be careful. So she wasn't in the game day 18. She got announced as someone on the injury report, but really exciting to have multiple Minnesota connected players in there just because we'll literally get some matchups, where we get to watch both players. And so the Super League is just really exciting. And I couldn't be more excited for more domestic opportunities for pro players.
Yeah. Cool to see the teams the challenge will be some of the teams with like DC with the competing local NWSL team, Dallas playing in the Cotton Bowl. Those are challenges to making it present at its best level. But we did see that you probably saw teams pick the appropriate format for showcasing their team because having a stadium that you can fill up, Charlotte having 10, it's not nothing. I mean, there's NWSL teams that get under 10 all the time, right?
Yeah.
So A really good showcase on the first week.
And Spokane was around 5,000. Tampa Bay was around 5,000. And it's like you could say that the stadium could be bigger, but it's like if you're filling the stands, you're filling the stands.
Yeah.
You know, a full 5,000 seat stadium is fun as hell.
Yeah.
And if you're a player, not all these players have had the chance to play in front of that many fans either. You know, it's going to a soccer game with 5,000 fans is an absolute blast. So, like you said, curious to see how DC does. They're playing in Audi Field, which is obviously a big venue. The Cotton Bowl down in Dallas, like all due respect, love that they wanted a grass field. Those games might be really weird. It seats like 100,000 people, so we'll see.
They can do like when Pistol Pete played for the Jazz in New Orleans, they would give tickets for $1. They need to do honest, and not even a joke. If you were doing a Cotton Bowl game, honestly, you should do say $1 ticket
and make it up in food sales. Yeah.
If they haven't been so drowned out by spring football league games over there. But Matt, talk about especially through the Gopher connection. There are a few Gophers who had their first pro opportunity this year, and then some continuing, like Kenzie Langdok. But talk about Rashida Beal, talk about Nemec, talk about Kenzie and everyone else from the Gophers who are finding their pro.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'm not even sure if this is everybody. I'm not sure if I'm missing everybody, but I'll try and give a rundown of every single.
Let us know.
We'll see. Yeah, folks, let us know. I believe this is every single Minnesota connected woman who's playing professionally. Rashida Beal signed a fall contract with Gintra out of Lithuania. You may remember her from our feed because former Gopher Athena Kuehn played there. Athena then played over in Switzerland last year. Not sure if she'll be going back again. A lot of times these players experience a league and then want to try something new. So not sure where Athena Kuehn might be going. Annie Williams finished up at Parma. She will not be going back. So she, I know, is looking for opportunities. Emily Bunnel just wrapped up in Portugal, and she's back home. She was actually in a picture training with Concordia St. Paul yesterday, so I'm going to reach out and see if she's just getting some touches in.
Oh, she found an eligibility rift, and she's going back. She was never paid in Europe, and so she's going back to college. Yeah.
I'm assuming the odds would be higher that she's coaching, but I'm assuming she's just training. Had some recent signings. Kenzie Langdok is over in the second division in Sweden still, which is a great opportunity, pretty high level of play over there. Mimi Eiden is playing in Iceland. Longtime favorite of Equal Time. I still have never had her on for a show, but we'll get her on. She's just totally cool. Megan Nemec, who Gopher fans might remember, she did her 5th year with the U of M, multi-time All-American at Loyola in Chicago. I think it's an absolute embarrassment that I think Ramblers it's an absolute embarrassment, to be honest with you, that a Super League team did not sign Megan Nemec. I'm sorry. She is athletic as hell. She broke the beep test when she was at the U. She's ridiculous. By the way, teams she's going to play in Cyprus, so good for her to get some tape.
On the island.
Anna Recarte Pacheco, who played in the Spanish second division last year. I'm assuming she will aim to go back over there. Mark had her on for a show, and she mentioned a lot of fun, family connection over there. So she's has some nice soft landing spot to go play there. Vienna, a few sort of Aurora and Minnesota connected players. Sophie French bielieve overseas, I believe in Denmark. Kelis Barton signed in the 3rd/4th division in England. There's some sort of combination there. Vienna Bienke was over in Greece, I think is still over in Greece. Tianna Harris was playing in France for Paris. Abbey Ostrem was overseas as well. And then this week, actually, there was an exciting Ari Del Moral played over in Malta, made the all-league team. And then this week, you found this, Mark, on social, a fun announcement from Rochester United in the WPSL. Bri Johnson is heading over, I think, also to Greece. And so, just a ton of Minnesotans over there. To be honest with you, it's really, really hard to track those leagues. It's hard to track those teams. But we will reach out to as many of those players as we can, try and have them on, just because we are so psyched when women decide to keep playing and experience another country and all that stuff. So just more and more Minnesotans willing to play. And with the Super League opening up, I'm only assuming those numbers will grow. Yeah.
Something Matt talked about, the nice thing about the USL Super League here in the US is it is really tough for us to try to find. It's surprising because these are big time leagues, and they actually, these are teams getting awarded prize money. They're doing whatever, but the online presence has not quite added up yet. Yeah. So we have players who like Jenny Vetter. We have people like Tianna Harris who are playing in first divisions in Europe. We couldn't track it that exactly. So one of the positive things about the Super League that we can actually get the stats. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's getting better and better each year. Talk about Matt. You have we have other people continuing pro over abroad. Do you have anyone else you want to highlight before we move on to St. Thomas and the other sections of the show today?
I think we maybe failed to mention, or maybe you asked, but I didn't fully comment on it. Makenzie Rath had done a few different trials over the summer. There's actually multiple sort of summer league players who were hopping out to USL Super League trials. Makenzie Rath was one of the few that we actively called out because she was literally in pictures. They were
posting it up on Maine. Maine, as the kids would say.
And other times teams and players are like nervous about when they say stuff. So like we didn't call these things out when like all season long, Katie Duong was leaving for trials. Morgan Stone was leaving for trials. Like players were gone and then back. And so Morgan Stone would be another one for longtime Aurora fans who she had what seemed to be an extended trial down at Fort Lauderdale. And I don't believe has been signed. Haven't heard back from Morgan in a little bit, but she's absolutely in that level of player. The same with like Rashida Beal, Annie Williams, Megan Nemec, Katie Duong, where it's like, this is the caliber of player. Kenzie Langdok. Like these are the caliber of players that Super League teams either should sign or will eventually sign. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some winter transfer window going on, because these teams are going to have their first fall. They're going to realize what worked and what didn't. They're going to have to reshuffle. That's just how sports works. So I wouldn't be surprised if a decent amount of these players end up at least getting a shot once the winter window hits.
Yeah. Morgan Stone, I mean, for people who watch Aurora, it's like, you can tell in the time she's been there, she commands midfield. She has skills. She's like a disciplined player. For the teams that are getting players at this level, like you said, you're not getting. The point is, you're not getting the very, very best that NWSL wants. You're not getting the very, very best that Europe wants. You have to find what works for this new league. And so, absolutely, you would see players like that in the same vein as Katie Duong came into the W League, crushed it for a summer. Got a spot. So amazing. Yeah.
It's the only funny thing is to think of Katie Duong and Morgan Stone playing the same position. Like, Katie thinks of herself as an 8. Morgan is probably an 8. Thinking of them because
they should play together, baby.
Well, that's true. Their games are so different and their like physicality and body type is so different. Thinking of them as the same position is like only in soccer. Could that be like?
Well, when you're young players, you have to say you can play everything and you have to want coach it. Stone is a really good 6 with great offensive ability.
I think she's sort of an 8.
She can play an 8. Yeah, she can also play an 8. And then Duong. Also, I hate when people get too specific about.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, who cares?
But Katie's also one who she can do it all. And I mean, it depends on your team. If you have the ball all the time, it's different people playing those positions. But I think maybe.
The other thing I was going to mention before we bring in Sydney Cubes is for folks who are watching, I think every platform, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, I believe, if you leave a reply or a comment, it will pop up for us. But just try it. And if you have something pop up, we will answer, including if like somehow like Sydney's parents are watching and they want to embarrass her with a weird question. We could like throw that in there. Let's get nuts.
Call us out for stuff we got wrong. I know I did it.
There will be a lot.